Hey guys, Stealth here. Today we're looking at pretty much an iconic vehicle. It's the M2 Bradley. It's the armored fighting vehicle, or as some people call it, the Bradley fighting vehicle. Now, as you can see, I already have this thing fully upgraded and fully kitted out with ERA packages. That makes it quite a bit more survivable, but still, you have to play this thing a lot different than you would with the normal BMD 1, 2, and 4, because this thing is a lot bigger. I believe I have the BMD1 somewhere here. Yeah, look at the difference in size. This thing is very low to the ground. It's very, very agile, and being so small, it's hard to hit. The Bradley is a lot bigger, but you don't really get the agility that the BMD has. And that's something that you will need to keep in mind as you're playing this vehicle. It is not as survivable, or at least you have to play differently. Now let's look at the stats of this thing. The alpha damage is only 48. That is, of course, per shot. And this thing gets a, I believe, 32 magazine shot, or 32 shot magazine. So you're not actually doing 48 damage, but you're doing 48 damage per shot, times 30. With one clip, you can do anywhere between 800 and 1250 damage. That's I think the maximum that I got out of this vehicle. Penetration is 131 millimeters, and that means he will not go through the front of main battle tanks. But let's face it, which autocannon will? The main strength of this vehicle is dealing with lightly armored vehicles or going towards the sides and rear of main battle tanks and engaging them there. If it doesn't penetrate those vehicles like that, then you can always use the tow launchers, because this thing carries a double tow launcher, which means you got ATGMs on this vehicle. Those have significantly more penetration power, and using those you can do quite a bit of damage to most vehicles. Of course, you are dealing with active protection systems, you're dealing with ERA, which is explosive reactive armor, and all sorts of other stuff that is going to try and block your missile from actually damaging a vehicle. So don't try to take a main battle tank from the front, because that's usually where they are best suited to deal with ATGMs. Try to fire those things at the sides of enemy tanks and you'll do a lot of damage. Hit points for the Bradley, I have them at 1421, but keep in mind that is with a retrofit installed. So subtract about 10% of that and you're looking at something like 1320 hit points. That means that the Bradley does have quite a decent hit point pool, but 3 rounds from an MBT will put this thing out of existence. And your armor is not going to help anyway. You have aluminum, military aluminum armor that has a 0.9 modifier, which is interesting because it means you actually have less than the 106 millimeters of armor. Same goes for the turret. The turret is pretty much the weakest position where you could shoot the Bradley. It has 80 millimeters of armor times 0.9, so we're more like 72 millimeters of armor. Keep that in mind. Maximum speed is 66.6 kilometers per hour, and the thing accelerates very, very quickly. In 2.7 seconds, you are at 32 kph, and in about double that, maybe a little over, you can get to that maximum speed. For a vehicle of this size, its camo value is pretty good at 0.25. And of course, being an armored fighting vehicle, you have to be the eyes and ears of your team. And that's something that the Bradley does very well. You can get this thing up to 504 meters of spawning range, probably more, but this is what I'm rolling with at the moment, and I found that to be enough. Gun depression on the Bradley is very, very good at minus 12 degrees. And this will allow you to sit near a dune face, for example, look over it, pop your gun down and engage targets that way, and then quickly pop back as you're reloading. Now reloading doesn't take very long, it takes less than 6 seconds to reload that entire canister, and then you can empty your magazine all over again. Accuracy at 0.08 is very, very nice, but of course the more you fire, the bigger your targeting reticule will bloom, and that will impact your accuracy. Targeting time is at 1.67 seconds, so let's round that up to 1.7 seconds. That's fast, but you need to be fast, because if you stick out your turret or your hull for too long, you're going to be a big target and you will take damage. Now let's go into the upgrade of this vehicle. You can get an ERA package, and this ERA package will help you with defeating heat rounds. The moment that you take this thing in a stock variety, heat rounds are going to be very, very, very dangerous. And considering that most people in tier 6 PvP are going to be firing heat at you the moment that they see this thing pop up, I would just not recommend taking this thing into PvP before you get the ERA armor. And with this, at least you have quite a bit survivability added. Now the next thing you can get there is an armor retrofit slot, and that armor retrofit slot I have the hull improvement thing for 10% more hit points. You already start out with a tow launcher and of course the 25mm, I think it's a Bushmaster cannon. You can get up to 131mm of penetration and 48 damage per shot with a salvo size of 33. So that means that, as mentioned, if all shells go through and if they all do their average damage, then you're looking at somewhere in the ranges of 1200, sometimes 1300 damage. And you can do that damage very, very quickly. You also get high explosive incendiary. I don't really use this that often unless I have a target that I need to engage from the front that's already at low health, because then you can take out that last little bit of health and be reasonably sure that you can kill it quickly, whereas with AP rounds that's not always the case. You also get an upgrade for your tow missile, and the tow missile does 390 damage per missile. Now that may not be too much, but you can fire twice, because this thing has a salvo size of 2, and that's because the Bradley, and you can see it here in the background, has the double tow launcher. You don't have to wait for either of the tubes to be reloaded, you can just fire one, fire the other, and wait for them to both be reloaded. You also get one firepower retrofit slot, and you can do with that whichever you prefer. As far as the engines go, I have the second engine because the third engine only got me 10 or 0.10 seconds faster acceleration. Now there may be other stats, but they're not visual yet. So I decided not to go with this last engine because I believe it's going to cost me, it's going to cost me 277,000 credits, and I decided to just spend those credits elsewhere. In the technology section you have quite a lot of stuff that's going to help you survive. You have smoke grenade launchers, which allow you to fire one charge of smoke, so use it wisely. And the APS, which stands for Active Protection System, is going to take down incoming ATGMs. I haven't taken that much ATGM fire when I was in the Bradley, but I have seen this thing engage once or twice, which will save you quite a bit of hit points, and of course save you ERA tiles. Because if a missile goes through the APS, it can still be stopped by your reactive armor, but the reactive armor is pretty much a one-time off measure. If it blows up to defend yourself against a missile, it's gone. The troop compartment comes installed standard, and you can get an IBAS, which is the improved Bradley acquisition system, gets you a bit more accuracy. Don't overlook this thing, because it does help you with keeping your gun on target and keeping it aimed on weak spots. If you get proven, which is halfway through the upgrade tree, you get the advanced supercharger, which is useful for vehicles such as this, but also for stuff like tanks, which may not have the hull traverse that you like. And then you have 2 credit influx packages. As far as the ammo goes, I'm running around with 528 rounds of AFVs, so let's say AP rounds. I gotta say, I never completely finished firing all of these rounds. Either the match ends before then, or I die before then. 71 high explosive rounds are usually enough for me, and I carry 20 ATGMs. Now again, I don't really fire ATGMs that often, but in PvE, these things can actually really help your damage. That's something I'm going to show as I'm doing the PvE replay. You fire your gun, you pre-load the ATGMs, so that once the gun is empty and starts to reload, you switch to your ATGMs, you fire off 2 ATGMs, and you switch back to your main gun, and you just keep repeating that loop. That is going to give you a lot more damage potential. Retrofit wise, I have Augmented Optics Mark 1 to give me 20 meters more vision range. Very, very useful in spotting stuff. And as an armored fighting vehicle, spotting can get you a lot of XP, so don't overlook that. Internal hull reinforcement is, I'm not going to say mandatory, but it really helps with the hit points, as the Bradley with the stock amount of hit points is pretty easy to take down, even in PvE. And finally, I have the gyroscopic stabilizers Mark II. These give me a bit more reload or a bit less reload time and help with my aim time. That's how I can get that 1.67 second reload or aim time. Consumables, all the standard stuff, or at least the upgraded stuff really. These aren't mandatory, but they do help you with repair speed, crew resilience, and of course the automatic fire extinguisher should you catch fire. It happens every once in a while, but not as often as with some of the other vehicles. And then for PvE, I have the mid-tier field maintenance kit. This thing, if you are doing PvE at hard, will help you. I would really recommend that you bring this. Reason for that is that if you take a few shots and you get quite a bit of damage by doing that, this will give you 20% of your hit points back. And surviving a PvE match is going to give you quite a bit more XP than dying somewhere halfway through. So yes, it may cost you 12,000 credits, but if you're grinding PvE in order to get reputation or XP, then this will help you do that more effectively. Crew skills, I have one which is accuracy while moving, and that is something that the Bradley does need. Because by doing this, you can be a more difficult target, and in PvE you can go on the move and still engage targets as you're going towards a new cover or a next objective. The other one is preparation, which means that I can swap around my ammo, and I believe this also goes for switching between the gun and the HGMs, but I'm not entirely sure if this actually counts as ammo. So that's something that I'm not too sure of yet. For the commander, I was using Maximilian Koenig in order to get this vehicle grinded as quickly as possible, because it gives me an additional reputation by 10%, crew attributes are increased by 10%, vision range is increased by 10%, turret traverse is increased by 20% after being spotted. Now with a 0.25 accuracy, or sorry, 0.25 camo, you will be spotted pretty easily. Of course, you're not a main battle tank, so you do have a bit more camo. But for now, I'm going to switch this out to Sabrina Washington. And Sabrina has a better camo rate, a less visibility penalty, so I'm much more capable of spotting stuff shooting at stuff and still staying hidden. Vision range is improved by 10% and aim speed is improved by 10%. So that should even further improve my aim speed by, let's see what it is now. That's still 1.67. Okay, enough with the talking. Let's take this thing into a PvP battle and show you how it performs there. Side note here, I used this thing pretty much exclusively in PvE. And the reason for that is that I just did not really find a good way to use it in PvP mode. It's a big target. It's asking for a very, very different playstyle from what you may be used to with the BMD. It's not a bad thing, but I found it to be a beast in PvE and a bitch in PvP. Because in PvP you're just a very, very big target. You're not that easy to hide. It's more difficult to hide your vehicle behind terrain, and all of that made it so that going into PvP was something that I preferred not to do. Now looking at this matchmaking, and once again I don't sugar pick my gameplays, I just press PvP or PvE and do it as I'm recording. I'm in a match with make that 2 tier 8s, 1 challenger. This is remarkable because ever since the patch 1.1 hit, or the 0.11 patch hit, there have been a lot of challengers, a couple of Leo 2s, Abrams, and a lot of VBLs. Enemy team, VBLs, Leos, 1 Charlie, 2 M1M1s. Most of these things I can penetrate from the sides. Whatever I cannot penetrate from the side, I can penetrate from the rear. What I have found to be effective as far as playstyle goes with this vehicle is to be pretty defensive early on. You're a big target, you have a lot of damage potential, but you don't want to waste that potential early on by dying too soon. So what I'm going to do is play a bit defensively, try to get some shots at the VBLs as they're going to probably operate around this area. And then as the battle continues, as the forces, the enemy troops start dying, I can start to finish off weak tanks with my autocannon or my HGMs. That's the thing that I'm going to go for right now. Unfortunately, okay, now we do have some tanks going towards the dam there. We got the Challengers, Ariete, okay, dam secure. Now note that this vehicle is pretty agile, but not as agile as you may have been used to from the BMD-2. This vehicle, again, is really nice to operate, but it is bigger. And I already got spotted there, possibly by the RDF-LT or a VBL. Yep, RDF-LT is already shooting at me. If you're not sure what RDF-LT stands for, by the way, it's Rapid Deployment Force Light Tank. That's something that I picked up recently. Now, so far as my spotted indicator doesn't go off yet, I'm perfectly happy staying here for now. There's the RDF. Getting a few rounds into him. He's returning fire though. Whoa, we got Artie coming in. A lot of fire coming in. I took fire from the Palmaria, the Artie, the VBL, and the RDF. And I already lost more than half my hit points. So I was way too aggressive by pulling off this maneuver. Now, in order not to die too soon, always be unpredictable. Don't pop up in the same spot twice. So what I'm doing here is relocating slightly. I'm trying to get an eye on that VBL there, but I don't think I can get a good shot on him yet. It seems that we got at least one M1A1 on my side. Oh yeah, there's the other M1A1 at the dam. I can hear the VBL autocannon going off there. There's a BMD-4, by the way. That's the thing that you get after this one. Now, if this Abrams actually comes up against me, I'm going to be in trouble. But I might be able to take down this VBL before it starts hitting our artillery. He's hiding. Or at least he's going to be completely pinned down there. There's nothing he can do in order to get out there. But I definitely need to take out this guy, because if he starts to roll... Oh crap, we got an M1 coming this way. There's the VBL again. Come on. That thing has to go. If he gets too close, we could lose a tier 8. Now there's an Abrams that's right near me. There it is. I think he drove right past me. So let's punish him for that. Look at that, 1,000 damage, and I even managed to bounce a shell there. And he's probably not going to like that too much, so I'm expecting him to come down to my level right now. But this autocannon can do a lot of damage very quickly. The thing is, I didn't have him lased, so I could have even done more damage. Let's laze this M1A1. Try to get some damage onto him, or at least help my allies do damage. Let's see, this M1A1 is still not paying attention. Which is perfect for me, because I'm doing it all over again. He's turned his turret around, and I think I burned him up. There's a VBL there. The VBL autocannon can go through the armor of the Bradley. Now, I think, yeah, he's already behind cover there. This flank is looking pretty damn weak. And I may get shot in the rear by that M1A1 there. Not interested in that at all. So I'm going to try and get a missile into his side. Oh, I've been spotted. Ooh, crap. Come on, autocannon. Got him. Look at that. My entire left flank ERA is done. Oh, yep, he's still looking at me. There's the other VBL. This is probably going to kill me. Yep. But not before I did a little under 4,000 hit points of damage. I took 1421, of course, that's my entire hit point value of the vehicle itself, but I did 4,000 damage. And that's only with the autocannon. I got the M1 in the rear, I got the VBLs taken out, or at least I got one of them taken out. This is something that you can do with the Bradley. It is very, very, very good at taking damage, or doing damage very quickly. But as you can see, it's a big target, and I was struggling to hide it from the vehicles that were shooting at me. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording here and wait for the result screen to come up. Alright, it turned into a victory. 1,300 damage done, 6 targets spotted, 3 kills. I got 6,800 XP for that. And that is, of course, being the ×2 for the day. So it's actually more along the lines of 3,400 XP. Which, I gotta say, is still very, very nice. As far as teams go, I got 4th place. I think I got most damage done. And I think that the spotting was decent. Enemy spotted 383 damage done. So, pretty good. One thing that has also been introduced is the amount of protection that you got from the vehicle. I mitigated 1,691 potential damage, and of course I got 1,421 points of damage. So I actually blocked 1,691 damage. So this thing can bounce some stuff. But I was kind of surprised that this thing is so bouncy this round, because normally I get penetrated pretty easily. But even the M1A1 with his pretty big gun bounced off of this vehicle. Now that was the PvP match. Now let's turn it into a PvE match. This thing is very, very devastating in a PvE match if you use it the right way. If you are too aggressive with this vehicle, and you get unlucky with a spawn happening right next to you, you can find yourself dying very, very, very quickly. So be careful as you are going to be pushing into terrain without too much backup. Always make sure you know where the closest cover is and how you can get there. If you're not sure, hold back and let the autocannon do the damage for you. Now in this map there's quite a lot of cover. And I have some teammates which have quite a bit of armor, so they can take the punches, the Leo 2AV, T72A and the XM1. Whereas the Bradley, so myself and the BMD4 are going to be doing most of the damage. Of course, in this PvE mode, the APS that you can see up here on the vehicle, it's that little box thing. That's the APS, it's not going to be doing anything. And I doubt I'll be using too many HGMs on this map, because it's pretty well covered and it makes it kind of difficult to get a good missile target or to get a good missile hit in. I'm going to be pretty aggressive with trying to spot targets, because that also gives me XP, of course. See, this M1 I cannot penetrate it from the front. It's just very, very simple. Sorry about that. What I can do is try to laze the target, and lasing targets does help you, especially your team members, as they're going to do full damage. I'm going to push up a little bit, not too aggressively here. No pen there. With this Bradley I can really quickly roll over. Try not to hit that leopard. Dude. Get your turret out of my way. Seriously. Bouncing a few shots there. This Abrams is a really nice target from the side. There you go. Already looking at 2,000 damage. When you're in a Bradley, be very, very wary of BMP 3 and 4. They fire those HE frag rounds, and even though they have been patched, they can still do a lot of damage. And you don't have that many hit points to waste anyway. That should make it a bit easier for my Leo 2 buddy there to do some damage. I'm going to reload the canister. I'm pressing C for that if you're not familiar with the key yet. It's to reload the clip so that I can take this Challenger with the engine block towards me and do as much damage to it as possible. See, I'm getting into position rather quickly, bouncing off the side of the vehicle, but not really so much of the rear. Now I should have preloaded my ATGMs, didn't, so I let quite a lot of damage just go to waste there. This bot just does not care he's being targeted by me. Now in an AFV, always try to get the secondary objectives. You're fast enough to do so, that is until 2 heavy targets show up. You're fast enough to do so. Don't ask your tanks to do it, because they have better things to do, honestly. There you go, HE frag from the BMD-4. Took quite a bit of damage. Another hit by him. I'm at 5,000 damage done, and with the BMD-4 I'm leading in damage very, very much, as contrast to the main battle tanks there. Let's see if I can get... Oh, there's another BMP-3M. Aiming for the turret on this vehicle to do maximum damage. I don't really need to laze that one. That thing is impenetrable from the front, or at least most of it. You can go through the driver's viewport there, but it's a small target, and this thing has had it, so I'm going to pop smoke in order not to take fire from him. Challenger 1. I can see his engine block, but it's going to be a hard kill. Bouncing off of the Ural. Let's waste this Challenger. Oh, took a heavy damage there. What was that? That was another Challenger, possibly. Let's laze this one. Target lazed. No, I took a shell from the T-72. Interesting. Oh, he's going to be firing at me. Now I'm going to pop my PvE repair kit in order to get at least some hit points back. I'm going to get the hell out of here. That was just plain luck. Jesus. Yeah, I was way too aggressive. I had no cover, so I pretty much ignored everything that I was telling you guys earlier about getting cover and not playing too aggressively. But I found that with the Bradley, it's just too easy to be so aggressive, because you can do so much damage. I'm looking at almost 7,000 damage in pretty much no time. Of course, the BMD-4 is looking at even more, at almost 9,000 damage currently, whereas the XM1 has done less than 800, and the main battle tank that's done the most damage is the Leopard 2 AV with 5,500 damage. So I died too soon here, and that's something that can happen if you play too aggressively. Of course, those units spawning next to me didn't help, but it was completely down to my own too aggressive behavior there that I got myself killed. Bit unfortunate there, but I hope that with the short PvE thing that I showed you now, it's clear how much damage this thing can do, what the damage potential of it is. And it's something that you should really not overlook. Okay, I'm going to pause the replay here, or sorry, the recording, not the replay. There's no replay system in Armored Warfare yet, unfortunately. I'm going to pause it here and wait for the results screen to come up. Alright, so that was a pretty damn terrible result. 1500 XP still. 20,000 credits, although I doubt I got positive there. Yeah, I'm at a net total of 7,500 credits. And as far as teams go, I still made third place because the XM1 and the T72A pretty much did terrible. Bit of a bad ending with the video, but I hope that with the video review, at least you have a bit of an idea of how I use the Bradley, what works, what definitely doesn't work, which is being too aggressive, and how you can use the vehicle yourself. I'm definitely looking forward to the BMD4. I'm almost getting to enough credits in order to buy that thing. It's costing me 6 million, and in order to get there, you need to go through quite a few XP. I think it's 135,000, might be 270,000. I'm not too sure about that. Anyway, hope this review was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like, and there are plenty more reviews to come. So if you want to keep updated with those, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next video.